In the sacred ancient pages of history, there is a tale so magnificent it shook the heavens and the earth. Were it not for the thousands who witnessed it with their own eyes, perhaps no one would dare believe it to be true. The man who can manipulate the laws of nature as effortlessly as playing a game. With just a wave of the hand, the fiercely churning river suddenly split in two. A whispered prayer rose, and in an instant, the mighty army was swallowed by eternal darkness. And the most terrifying part was that just a light touch on the dry skeleton made the dead suddenly come back to life. This is not fiction, but real events involving a mysterious figure named Elisha. And hidden behind those miracles of heaven and earth merging is an even more wondrous secret. This truth startles even the most stubborn skeptics into acknowledgement. Who is Elisha to be capable of such extraordinary things? And above all, what are the timeless truths that his life has left for humanity, about faith, strength, and the meaning of life? Let's uncover the mysteries in the life of the greatest prophet mentioned in the Bible. A story doesn't just deliver information, it can also change how you see the world around you. Over a peaceful countryside, the horizon seems to dissolve into the radiant golden hues of rice fields under the blazing sunlight. We saw Elisha, the son of Defied, diligently working in the elbow mela field. With calloused hands from years of toil, he diligently plowed the field with his oxen, his heart filled with hope for a bountiful harvest. At that time, Elisha's life was a relentless cycle of toil, laboring diligently just to earn each grain of rice from the barren land. However, Elisha's fate was about to take a completely different turn. Elisha, the revered and renowned prophetess of the land, appeared like a mighty wind. In that moment, he gently draped the ceremonial robe over Elisha's shoulders, inviting her to join him on the sacred journey. This action urged Elisha to abandon her ordinary life and embark on a sacred mission. Elisha faced a difficult choice upon hearing those words. You can continue living a peaceful farmer's life, ignoring that unusual sign, or choose the path of devotion to the Lord. And Elisha walked the path that fate had laid out. Not only did he choose to follow Elisha, but he also devoted his entire life to her. He slaughtered his herd of cattle, using the plowing tools as firewood to cook a meal for everyone, as a decisive declaration to leave the past behind and start anew. Following in Elisha's footsteps is no easy task, for it means stepping into a world where the boundary between the natural and the supernatural grows unnervingly thin. Miracles are no longer distant dreams, and faith has become his steadfast anchor to face the challenges ahead. Elisha, as Eliot's student, gradually learned to embrace life in order to experience this wondrous magic. Each passing day brings a new lesson, every miracle holds an awakening. Elisha not only gained knowledge from the great teacher but also embraced his devotion and deep reverence for God. His fate was forged by strength, by the steadfast belief that there is always God. Every step he took was part of a grander plan. The story of Elisha gradually unfolds, leading those who witness it to embark on a wondrous and mysterious journey. Eager to witness the journey from an ordinary man like him to the greatest of prophets, who shaped history through steadfast actions and unwavering faith. Journey under Eliot. The heart of the story is a deadly battle of wits on Camel Mountain. Not only does this event demonstrate the supreme power of God, but it also marks a pivotal turning point in Elisha's life. Prepare for the challenges and miracles ahead. The story begins at the peak of tension in Israel, when the people were torn between loyalty to the God of Israel and the pagan gods worshipped by Queen Jezebel. Eliot, with the steadfast faith of a true devotee serving God, he challenged the prophets of Baal in a decisive test of power on Mount Carmel. Elisha, as a disciple and witness, watched everything intently, for she knew well what was about to unfold. Not only does this shape the future of Israel, but it also deepens his relationship with God. The challenge may seem simple, but it holds profound meaning. One side will set up an altar and pray to their deity to light the fire. The God who answers with fire shall be acknowledged as the true deity. While the prophecies of many resound in despair, Eliot prepared the altar with a serene state of mind. When Eliot prayed, fire descended from heaven, consuming the sacrifice, the altar, and even the surrounding water. Everyone present fell silent in astonishment. The miracle Elisha witnessed was not merely a display of power. At the same time, it is also a lesson about loyalty and the supreme power of God. In the following days, Elisha witnessed countless miracles performed by Eliot with her own eyes. Every event in life gives you a deeper understanding of the nature of the Supreme Being. And the reality of the spiritual world always exists within the earthly life of every person. Every miracle, every lesson is to train Elisha. A strong yet humble spirit taught him to trust divine guidance above all else. But perhaps what left the deepest impression on Elisha was not the miracles. That is Eliot's unwavering faith and complete devotion to God. Elisha realized that, although miracles are a powerful testament to supernatural power, it is the intimate and steadfast relationship with God that sustains a true prophet. Under Eliot's guidance, these experiences became deeper and more meaningful, not only preparing Elisha to face the challenges in her mission, but also sowed in his soul the seeds of hope, faith, and courage. Elisha's journey is still on its first few pages, but with every step alongside Eliot, he drew nearer to the lofty fate that had been ordained for him. For those who witnessed the incident firsthand, through the mysteries of faith, the power of prayer, and the presence of the divine, dramatically impact human history and profoundly transform it. In the ancient world, the breath of the gods intertwined with human life. The process of transferring leadership from Eliot to Elisha, not just the passing of a flame. It was not only a spiritual journey filled with faith and prophecy, but also an echoing call across centuries. At that moment, Eliot was forced to confront the final act of his earthly life. I realize my moment has come. He and Elisha took their final journey together. Though Eliot had given Elisha plenty of opportunities to say goodbye, it's impossible to avoid the pain of eternal separation. However, Elisha, with a loyalty that far surpasses ordinary understanding, determined not to leave my teacher's side. I swear, as long as God lives, as long as my teacher's soul endures, I will never leave you, teacher. They reached the Jogdan River, where their journey ended. There, Eliot did something profoundly meaningful, deeply symbolic. Repair both water wheels, so both can cross the barren land together. This action not only reaffirms the power of the Lord through Eliot. Not only that, but this also opens up an opportunity for Elisha to express her desires. This request will determine the entire future of your mission. Just before Eliot had to leave, Elisha was allowed to request what she desired, and she chose to speak it out. Teacher, please grant me a double portion of your spirit. This is not merely a demand for power. That is the aspiration to possess faith, courage, and strength. To carry on the legacy of our beloved teacher. To face the challenges ahead. And lead the people with unwavering faith like Eliot. Eliot agreed but set a condition before accepting Elisha's request. If you see me when I am taken up to heaven, then it will come to pass. When that moment struck, Eliot was suddenly swept up into the sky by a swirling whirlwind. Elisha stood there, awestruck by the magnificent scene unfolding before her eyes. The train and the horse-drawn carriage departed, carrying away the farewell between teacher and student. As a sign that God approved Elisha's prayer, Elisha stood quietly alone by the banks of the Jordan River. I just witnessed Eliot being taken up to heaven. In his hand is Eliot's white shirt, falling down as the teacher ascends to the sky. This is not merely a shirt, but also a symbol of the transfer of power. And Elisha began her journey, leaving the river behind. A sudden question echoed across the vast expanse. Could this man, who has just inherited twice the spirit of his master? Everyone is excited, eagerly anticipating what's about to happen. Elisha's journey is a living testament to faith, miracles, and the mighty power of God. Elisha's mission began with a pivotal challenge. He stood by the banks of the Jordan River, where the prophet Elijah had once parted the waters. The river was no longer just a geographical obstacle. Not only that, it also embodies the doubts, expectations, and the enormous shadow that Eliot left behind. What will become of Elisha? Can one inherit the greatness of their teacher? Elisha picked up Eliot's white shirt, walked to the riverbank, and began to speak. God, whom Eliot worships, where is he now? He immediately swung his robe forcefully down onto the water's surface, and instantly, the water parts in two like the wondrous magic of Eliot from days gone by. Elisha walked across the river without getting her feet wet, as if stepping on dry land. Bin proves that the power of God still exists through him. That scene was not merely a repetition of the past, but also revealed a vast, promising future full of potential. Now, Elisha has been recognized as the worthy successor to Eliot. Those who witnessed it and the descendants of the prophets could not deny that truth. The spirit of Eliot passed into Elisha. From that moment on, respect and admiration for him began to grow. From the banks of the Chogden River, Elisha's name quickly spread far and wide across the land of Israel. The river splitting in two like a miracle is only the beginning, signaling a series of upcoming challenges and opportunities. Elisha's journey promises to be a meaningful exploration of faith. The wonders and guidance of God often appear in the most unexpected ways. Throughout Elisha's journey, every miracle he performed carried a profound meaning. These things all contain profound lessons about faith and the Lord's boundless love and compassion. After donning the cloak, Elisha not only followed the chosen path but also steadfastly remained where she had paved the way. He became a symbol of strength and hope, inspiring the people of Israel with renewed determination. One of Elisha's first miracles was performed in the city of Jericho. When people came to him with concerns because the water source here had been polluted, the land became barren, and the people faced various diseases. During that era, the main water source was a vital factor, determining the survival of an entire community. Elisha, with unwavering faith in the power of the Lord, he asked for a new salt lick, then went to the water source, poured the salt in, and said, "I have healed this land. From now on, there shall be no more death or mourning." The water was purified, and the city of Jericho was once again filled with hope, ready to embrace a bright future. Elisha instructed the widow to gather as many empty jars as possible from her neighbors. After gathering enough jars, she carefully closed the door and began pouring olive oil into each one. The widow sincerely trusted and followed the prophet's words. The miracle occurred. The small amount of olive oil at first suddenly multiplied endlessly, until it filled all the jars. This miracle not only saved her children from being enslaved, not only that, but the amount of oil was also enough for her to sell, pay off all her debts, and provide for her family's needs. This symbolizes God's providence in the most trying times. This shows that when we seek guidance from God and act according to our faith, though small, it can still rise to prosperity, not just surviving but continually thriving. One of the most remarkable stories about the power of faith and divine miracles through the prophet Elisha is when he brought the son of the Shunammite woman back to life. The story is recorded in the second book of Kings, chapter 4, verses 32 to 37. The woman from Shunem welcomed Elisha warmly and with great hospitality. She always kept a place ready for him to rest whenever he passed through her city. To repay that kindness, Elisha prophesied that she would bear a son. Indeed, the prophecy came true, bringing boundless joy to the entire family. But the joy of the woman of Shunem did not last long, for it soon turned to sorrow when her beloved son, the child she had long yearned for, grew up, then suddenly passed away. Refusing to submit to a harsh fate, she turned to Elisha with unwavering faith, without a hint of hesitation. She believed that Elisha could pray to the Lord to grant a miracle and bring the child back to life. When she returned home with the old woman, Elisha saw the boy lying there, lifeless. He prayed sincerely with a pure heart and unwavering faith, and then the miracle appeared. The boy's body gradually warmed, he sneezed 7 times, then slowly opened his eyes, awakening into a world brimming with life. However, the life of a prophet is not just about miracles and happiness, but also filled with countless hardships and challenges. One of the most controversial stories was Elisha being mocked by a group of young people. As Elisha approached the town of Bethel, a group of young men came out to mock him. "Come on, Baldy, come on, Baldy." This is not just an insult to appearance, but also an act of defiance against the authority in Elisha's prophecy. This passage may imply that Elisha was taken up to heaven. They seemed to scorn both the power of God and his messenger. Elisha flatly refused them in the name of God. Immediately, 2 bears charged out of the forest and attacked, injuring 42 members of the group. This punishment demonstrates the importance of respecting God's messengers and divine authority. This story is a profound wake-up call. Disrespecting those chosen by God can lead to severe consequences. Elisha is not just a prophet, but also plays a pivotal role. Amid the politically complex landscape among the kingdoms of that era, he repeatedly helped King Isaran escape assassination plots orchestrated by King Siri. By anticipating and exposing the opponent's attack plan, King Siri even suspected there was a traitor within the ranks of his own army. His plans kept failing for no apparent reason. He knew that it was Elisha, the messenger of God, who had revealed the secret. King Siri was determined to capture Elisha at all costs. He led an entire army to besiege the city where Elisha lived. Elisha's servant was utterly terrified when he saw the soldiers surrounding them tightly. But Elisha remained calm, her limbs relaxed like a servant's. "Do not be afraid, for those who stand with us far outnumber them." Elisha immediately prayed, asking the Lord to open the eyes of his servant. And he realized that around them was a host of angels riding trains, surrounding them on all sides. Next, Elisha prayed to God to make Siri's soldiers blind. Then he led them straight to Samaria, the capital of the kingdom of Israel. Upon arriving, Elisha prayed that they might see each other again. But instead of killing them, Elisha advised King Israel to feed them well and then release them back to their homeland. This act of kindness led to a temporary ceasefire agreement between the two sides. Compassion and love can overcome all violence and conflict. One of the most touching stories about Elisha is when she helped Mr. Naaman, a mighty and formidable warrior, renowned for numerous glorious victories across countless battlefields. Now, we must face an enemy that no sword can strike: leprosy. This disease not only threatens his life but also leaves him isolated and estranged from everyone. He bore a stain within him that neither fame nor power could erase. Despite winning countless battles, Naaman eventually became exhausted, reduced to a mere shadow of his former self by the cruel disease. The turning point in Naaman's life. The story begins with the secret, hopeful prayer of an Israelite maiden enslaved in the old master's mansion. She told of a prophet in Samaria who could heal the sick. Both despair and hope can be healed. Naaman set out for Israel, carrying gold, silver, and King Siri's letter, hoping to exchange them for the healing spell. Upon arriving in Israel, Naaman had to face not only cultural differences but also political disparities, while also facing the challenge of daring to look squarely at one's true self. Elisha did not receive him with a respectful or formal attitude, just sent an envoy with brief instructions. "Go and wash 7 times in the Jordan River, and you will be cleansed." That simplicity offended Naaman and wounded his pride. He expected to witness solemn ceremonies and to be personally attended by the prophet, a treatment befitting his status. He had to bathe in the Jordan River, a river that, in his opinion, could never compare to the rivers of his homeland. Naaman was furious and deeply disappointed. You quit the job without even bothering to trust that simple piece of advice. The story reaches its climax not by the Jordan River, but within Naaman's own heart. It was his own servants who reminded him that if Elisha demanded something difficult, he would act without hesitation, and that very decisiveness would make him reconsider. Why not choose something simple like bathing in the river? They advised him to humbly follow that advice. Thanks to that encouragement, Naaman listened and bathed 7 times in the Jordan River. After stepping out from the 7th bath, his skin had recovered, becoming as smooth as in his youth. But that miracle not only healed his body but also transformed Naaman's soul. That is a lesson in humility, faith, and realizing that true power does not come from strength or material possessions. That is the simplicity of faith and gratitude when receiving God's grace. Naaman's journey serves as a reminder for us to reflect on our own arrogance and prejudices. This demands simplicity and humility, qualities we often struggle to embrace. The story raises a profound question. How far are we willing to sacrifice our pride to welcome the fortunate things that life often unexpectedly bestows, in a world where actions are shaped by both human beliefs and flaws? The story of Gehazi, the servant of the prophet Elisha, is a profound lesson on greed and deceit. After General Naaman of Sidon was cured of leprosy, Naam is overflowing with gratitude for being given such precious gifts for Elisha. However, Elisha refused because he clearly understood that only God brings true healing, and it cannot be exchanged for material wealth. But Gehazi did not see this as an act of integrity, but rather as a missed opportunity. Consumed by greed, Gehazi stealthily followed Naaman. Suddenly changing her mind, Elisha concocted a story about asking for gifts for guests who existed only in her imagination. Naaman was absolutely certain Gehazi was deceiving him, yet he still generously gave him more money than requested. But Gehazi cleverly concealed the wealth he had seized. He couldn't hide the truth from Elisha either. With a commanding gaze, Elisha faced Gehazi, not only exposing the lies but also warning of their unforeseeable consequences. The leprosy that once tormented Naaman has now passed to Gehazi, as a clear manifestation of moral decay and a stern warning against sin. This story is not merely about punishment. Not only that, this is also a profound lesson about the core values of life. Greed stands in complete contrast to Elisha. One of the fundamental flaws of human nature is impulsiveness, valuing material possessions over spiritual and moral values. The fall of Gehazi serves as a profound warning about the dangerous allure of greed. This makes us reflect on the consequences of only chasing short-term gains. His leprosy was not merely a punishment from God, and also serves as vivid proof of the value of living an honest life. Integrity and dedication to work. Amidst the relentless hardships and constant changes of life, the life of the prophet Elisha was like a radiant lamp, illuminating the path and guiding humanity. No request is too small. No problem is too small for God to care about. Whether the miracles performed by Elisha were great or small, all convey profound messages about love and the providence of God, even in the simple, familiar things of everyday life. Another impressive moment was when Elisha saved everyone from the poisoned soup. While cooking, they accidentally added the wrong kind of poisonous herb to the pot. While everyone was in panic, Elisha remained calm. With just a handful of flour, he could neutralize the poison, turning the dangerous pot of soup into something harmless. Create a meal that is both safe and nutritionally complete. This miracle, though simple, still reminds us that God always cares for the essential needs of us humans, even in the most seemingly ordinary circumstances. Next, Jesus performed the miracle of multiplying the loaves of bread. Before 100 hungry and thirsty people, Elisha received a small gift: 20 barley cakes along with some fresh grain. This amount is nothing compared to the needs of the whole crowd's hand. It became a powerful testament to God. The bread was not only enough for everyone, but there were even leftovers after the meal. This miracle recalls the image of Jesus multiplying the loaves and fishes in the Bible. This small miracle is nothing compared to parting the Jordan River, or to raise the dead, perhaps not so grand, but they carry an important message. God is not only present in extraordinary actions, He is ever present in even the smallest concerns of our daily lives. He is always ready to lend a hand, even in what may seem like the most trivial circumstances. With boundless love and grace, the stories about Elisha have shown us a heart overflowing with love and God's meticulous care for every small detail in human life. They want us to reflect on how God operates in our lives, in the mundane aspects of life. Clearly, with God, nothing is too small. He is always present in every circumstance, loving, caring for, and protecting us with boundless love and infinite mercy. In the ancient world, where wars between nations occurred as frequently as the falling of leaves, the story tells of Elisha, the prophet whose faith determines the fate of the land of Assyrian, has become a shining beacon of hope and divine power. In a moment of terror and unrest that swept across the Assyrian field, Elisha not only bravely confronted the Syrian army but also clearly demonstrated that true strength comes from surrendering to God. Elisha's legacy is not confined to just his miracles or teachings. After his passing and burial, an extraordinary event occurred. When a group of Assyrians were burying a man, they saw a group of Moabite raiders advancing toward them's body into Elisha. When the dead man touched Elisha's two bones, he suddenly came back to life and stood up. The miracles that occurred after her death not only confirmed Elisha's holiness, not only a servant of God, but also an eternal testament to his power, that which transcends all boundaries of time and space. The revival of life by the Elisha skeleton stands as the clearest proof that the presence of God and the power to perform miracles do not cease when the prophet passes away physically. The story of Elisha is a dramatic journey, carrying profound and thought-provoking lessons. His encounters with kings and confrontations with the Syrian army left a profound mark. The miracles he performed serve as a reminder that, even in the toughest times, faith in God can bring unexpected solutions. Elisha taught us a valuable lesson, under the guidance of a true leader, not only recognized for the ability to achieve extraordinary accomplishments, but also by humility, steadfastness, and unwavering faith. Those inspiring things help others strengthen their faith in God.